The desert world of Unearthed stretched wide under the pale sun. Its surface was endless sand, broken only by ridges of stone and the remains of old storms. Few people came here, for there was nothing to see but dust and silence. Yet this forgotten world had drawn a small group of humans. They were explorers, searching for traces of history left behind by ancient species. The team moved slowly across the dunes in their crawler. The machine's heavy wheels sank deep in the sand but pushed forward with steady force. Inside the crawler, 4 explorers studied the readings on their screens. The leader, a calm man named Ryan, looked at the shifting signals. Something strange was below them, buried deep under the desert. "It looks like a hollow space," said Lyra, the surveyor. Her voice carried both caution and excitement. "The scanners show walls thicker than any natural cave. It must have been built." The crew fell silent. They had crossed dozens of planets, and most signals like this led to collapsed tunnels or simple rock patterns. But this signal was different. The lines were too straight, the shape too perfect. "We mark it," Ryan decided. "Tomorrow we dig." That night they set up camp. The desert was cold, and the wind howled like a lonely voice. Around their small fire, they spoke in hushed tones. Tales of Unearthed were not new. Old records from travelers told of forbidden places beneath the sands. Stories spoke of golden doors, sealed for ages, that should never be touched. No proof had ever been found, and many thought it was just myth. Still, the words weighed on them. Humans had a way of reaching where others dared not. For some, that was bravery. For others, it was dangerous curiosity. At sunrise, the crew began to dig. Machines hummed, scooping away heavy layers of sand. Hours passed, then the crawler's scanners rang louder. At last, a shape appeared beneath the golden grains. A massive stone platform stretched wider than the crawler itself, covered in dust but smooth as polished glass. At the center was a seam, thin and straight. It was the outline of a door. The explorers stepped closer. The surface shimmered faintly in the sunlight, reflecting a glow that seemed not of this world. Ryan brushed his glove against the door. The stone was cold, but not like ordinary stone. It felt alive, as if it was waiting. "Do you feel that?" Lyra whispered. "Yes," Ryan said. "It is not just a tomb. It is something more." They placed scanners on the surface, yet the machines failed to read the material. It was stronger than metal, but lighter than air. The door was sealed without any visible lock. No mark, no handle, nothing that suggested how it could open. As the sun lowered, shadows stretched across the desert. The golden door glowed faintly as if catching the last light of day. The crew stepped back, uneasy. The silence around them was heavy, pressing on their thoughts. That night no one spoke much. Each explorer felt the same question but none dared say it aloud. What was buried here, and why had it been sealed so carefully? The following morning, Ryan called for a council. The choice was simple but dangerous. They could leave the tomb untouched, report it to the wider human fleet, and mark the place as forbidden. Or they could try to open it themselves, to claim the discovery before others came. "This door is older than anything I have seen," Lyra said. "It was not meant to be found. That makes it more dangerous, but also more important." The engineer, a quiet man named Darren, studied the platform. "I think it responds to touch. Look at these faint lines. They almost form a pattern, like writing. But only in the sunlight. Perhaps it needs us." Ryan listened, his eyes on the glowing door. The desert wind rose again, carrying grains of sand across the platform. For a moment it looked as if the door itself was breathing, alive beneath the dust. "Every legend starts with something real," Ryan said at last. "We stand before the truth behind the old stories. This is why we came. To uncover what others could not." The decision was made. They would try. That evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in red and gold, the explorers placed their hands upon the surface together. At first, nothing happened. The stone was cold, silent. But then a deep hum echoed through the ground. The platform trembled, and light traced the thin seam of the door. The explorers stepped back in awe. The golden door was awakening. Sand poured away as the surface shifted. The seam widened, slow and heavy, as if the tomb resisted being opened. A wave of air escaped, warm and strange, carrying a faint scent of forgotten ages. The sound grew louder until the desert itself seemed to shake. The door was opening. And for the first time in countless centuries, the tomb of Unearthed greeted the touch of humanity. The golden door groaned as it slid apart, dust rising in a slow spiral. The explorers stood in silence, their hearts racing. No one spoke. The desert wind whistled faintly across the dunes, but inside the opening there was no sound at all. It was as if the tomb had swallowed the air. A wide stairway led downward, carved from the same strange golden stone. Faint lines of light pulsed along the walls, glowing in rhythm like a heartbeat. The glow grew brighter as the explorers moved closer, as though the tomb recognized their presence. Ryan raised his hand, signaling for caution. "We move slowly. No one rushes. Record everything." Lyra adjusted her scanner, but again the device showed nothing clear. The readings shifted wildly, full of static. It was as if the tomb refused to be measured. She frowned but kept moving. Step by step, the team descended. The air was cool, not dry like the desert above. It carried a faint scent of metal and stone, but also something else, something sweet, like fruit long gone from the world. Each breath felt heavy, yet strangely fresh, as if the air had been waiting for them alone. At the bottom of the stairs, a vast hall opened before them. Its ceiling was high, stretching into shadows their lights could barely touch. Pillars of gold and silver lined the chamber, each one engraved with shapes that almost looked like figures. Some seemed human, while others were of creatures no one had ever seen. The silence was overwhelming. No dust rested on the floor, no sign of time's decay. It felt less like a tomb and more like a place asleep. "This place is alive," whispered Darren, his voice low. "It has been waiting." They walked carefully, their boots echoing on the polished floor. At the center of the hall stood a platform. Upon it lay a structure shaped like a coffin, but far larger than any human size. Its surface shimmered with patterns of light that shifted as they watched. Lyra stepped closer, reaching out. The patterns rearranged themselves at her approach, forming symbols that looked almost like letters. She pulled her hand back quickly. "It reacts," she said. "Not just to touch. To nearness." Ryan frowned, watching. "This is not just a tomb. It is a machine." Before anyone could answer, a sound filled the chamber. A low hum rose from the pillars, steady and deep. Light ran along the walls, racing upward to the hidden ceiling. From above, strands of brightness fell like threads of fire, weaving into a shape. The explorers stepped back in awe. A figure appeared in the air, tall and bright, not flesh but light and metal. It stood before them without moving, its form shifting as though unsure what shape to take. At last, it settled into something almost human, though taller, its eyes glowing like twin suns. "You should not be here." The voice was clear, deep, and carried no anger but endless weight. It spoke in a language none of them had studied, yet every explorer understood it as if it had always been in their minds. The figure raised its hand, and the golden coffin pulsed with light. This tomb was sealed to protect the galaxy. Those who came before failed to keep its promise. "You should not have broken the door." The explorers froze, caught between fear and wonder. Ryan gathered his strength. "We are humans. We search to learn. We mean no harm." The figure tilted its head, studying them. Its glow flickered, as though it was considering. "Humans," it repeated. "Long ago, humans were spoken of in the records. Yet you vanished from the star roads. Few believed you would return. Perhaps this is why the tomb waited." The explorers exchanged looks. None had expected this. The tomb did not only hold history, it remembered them. The figure stepped closer, though it made no sound when it moved. "This place is not treasure. It is not a gift. It is a warning. Within rests a power that ended empires. Each who touched it fell, until the guardian sealed it away." Lyra swallowed, her eyes wide. "Then why does it respond to us?" The figure's glow dimmed slightly. "Because you are human. The last key. The seal was written for your kind. Only you can open the inner chamber. Only you can end what began." Silence returned, heavy and unbroken. The explorers felt the weight of the moment press upon them. To open the inner chamber would mean risking whatever was locked away. Yet to turn back now would mean abandoning the truth, leaving behind something that called to them alone. Ryan took a slow breath. "We need time. We will not rush. But if this tomb is a danger, then we must know what lies inside." The figure of light regarded him for a long moment. Then it raised its hand, and the walls of the chamber shifted. Passages opened, leading deeper into the tomb. The air grew warmer, the glow brighter. "Then walk carefully, humans," the guardian said. "For each step forward is a choice, and every choice has a cost. The tomb remembers. The tomb judges. And once you pass the first chamber, there will be no return." The light flickered, and the figure vanished, leaving the hall in silence once more. The explorers stood still, their hearts heavy with both fear and determination. Ahead lay the unknown. The tomb had been sealed for countless ages, yet it had opened for them. And now, whether they were ready or not, they had crossed a threshold that could never again be closed. The explorers stood at the edge of the hall, staring at the passages that had opened before them. Each doorway glowed with faint light, stretching into darkness that seemed endless. The air had changed. It was heavier now, filled with the sense of being watched. No one spoke at first. Their minds were still on the figure of light that had appeared, spoken, and vanished. Its warning echoed in their thoughts. The tomb remembers. The tomb judges. The words felt alive, like a weight pressing against their hearts. At last, Ryan broke the silence. "We have come this far. Turning back is no longer an answer. We move forward, but carefully." Lyra tightened her grip on the scanner. Darren adjusted the lights on his suit. The fourth explorer, Mara, placed small markers along the floor. She was the quietest of them, always watching more than speaking, but her hands never shook. The markers glowed faint blue, leaving a trail back to the main hall. The first passage sloped downward, walls covered in flowing patterns of gold and silver. As they walked, the lines on the walls shifted like moving water. Shapes appeared in them, shapes of creatures with wings, claws, and strange eyes. Some looked peaceful, others terrifying. None were familiar. "It is like a story," Lyra whispered. "The walls are telling us something." They stopped before a panel where the patterns grew brighter. It showed many figures standing before a glowing coffin, the same one they had seen in the great hall. Around it, the figures raised their arms in both fear and worship. Above them, a blazing star shone. "This is no simple burial," Darren said. His voice was low. "It was a gathering. Many came here before us." Ryan studied the images, his jaw set. "And all of them failed." "That is what the Guardian said." The passage widened into another chamber. Here, the walls were covered in statues, each carved from the golden stone. They stood tall, lined in perfect order, faces calm yet solemn. Their eyes seemed to follow the explorers as they entered. Mara stepped closer to one statue. Its features were almost human, though longer and thinner. A crown rested on its head, and its hands were folded across its chest. Dust did not touch it. Not a crack marked its surface. It looked as though it could wake at any moment. "This one was a leader," Mara said softly. "But of who?" Before anyone could answer, a deep sound filled the chamber. The statues glowed faintly, light flowing from their eyes. The explorers froze, hearts pounding. The glow grew stronger until one statue stepped forward. Stone broke away like old skin, and beneath it was not stone at all, but light. The figure formed just as the Guardian had, tall and shining, but this one's shape was clearer. It had the face of a warrior, armor across its chest, and a staff in its hand. Its voice carried through the chamber like thunder. "You stand in the Hall of Echoes," it said. "Here lie the memories of those who sought the heart of the tomb. They came with pride, and they left with nothing. Some sought power, some sought wisdom, but all were judged." The explorers kept their distance, fear tight in their throats. Ryan took a step forward, forcing courage into his voice. "We are not here to steal. We came to understand." The warrior's eyes glowed brighter. Many said the same. But intent is tested by action. The tomb does not listen to words alone. The walls shimmered, and suddenly the chamber was no longer still. Images surrounded the explorers, bright and alive, as if the air itself carried memory. They saw fleets of alien ships burning in the sky. They saw cities crumbling into dust. They saw figures, proud and desperate, reaching for the golden coffin only to fall into darkness as it consumed them. The explorers could not move. The visions poured into their minds, heavy with sorrow. When the images faded, the guardian warrior lowered its staff. "This is the truth of the tomb. Power without restraint brings only ruin. Those who open the inner chamber must carry the weight of all who failed. And you, humans, must ask yourselves, why has the tomb chosen you?" The explorers were silent. No answer came easily. The weight of history pressed on them like chains. Lyra's voice trembled, but she forced the words out. "If we are the last key, then maybe it is not chance. Maybe we are meant to decide." The Guardian's glow flickered. For a moment, it seemed almost thoughtful. Then it stepped back, merging again with the statue. Its light dimmed, and the chamber fell silent once more. The explorers stood in the quiet, hearts racing. The statues around them remained still, eyes glowing faintly, as if watching. Ryan looked at his team. We go deeper. But remember what we saw. Every step is a test. We cannot fail as the others did. They left the Hall of Echoes and entered the next passage. Behind them, the faint glow of the statues remained, like silent watchers of their fate. Ahead, the tomb stretched on, its secrets hidden in darkness. The explorers did not know what trials awaited them, but they understood now that the tomb was more than stone and metal. It was alive with memory. It was a place of judgment, and it had been waiting for humans to arrive. And with every step forward, the weight of that choice grew heavier. The passage curved like a serpent, walls glowing with faint light that pulsed with every step the explorers took. The air grew warmer, though the desert above was cold. The silence pressed against them until even the sound of their boots seemed too loud. They followed the path into a chamber larger than the last. The ceiling rose high, disappearing into shadows. The floor was polished smooth, yet covered with countless symbols carved deep into the stone. Lines of light ran across the carvings, shifting slowly, as though the words themselves were alive. Mara bent down to study one. These are not random. They form records. A language maybe. Lyra moved her scanner across the markings, but the machine again showed only static. Nothing, she muttered. It is like the tomb does not want to be understood through tools. Ryan placed his hand near one of the glowing lines. The light brightened at his touch, and the symbols shifted into images. The explorers stepped back in awe as the floor came alive with moving shapes. They saw whole worlds rising from the stone, cities reaching to the skies, oceans filled with strange ships. Then the images darkened. Flames consumed the cities, skies cracked with storms of fire, oceans boiled to steam. The people in the images raised their hands toward a golden coffin, the same coffin they had seen earlier, as if begging it for salvation. But the coffin only glowed brighter, and the people fell into shadow. The stories are the same, Ryan said, his voice heavy. Each time a people sought the tomb, each time they were destroyed. Darren crossed his arms, staring at the moving floor. But why show us this? Why open the way at all if the end is always ruin? Before anyone could answer, the light from the floor rose higher, forming a wall of fire-like brightness. From within it, a figure stepped forward, shaped from the same glow as the earlier guardians. This one was taller, draped in robes of light, its face calm but unreadable. "You stand in the chamber of echoes," the figure said. Its voice was neither male nor female, but deep and steady. "Here the tomb remembers the voices of those who came before. Their choices, their pride, their fall. You, humans, now walk the same path." Ryan steadied himself. "We are not here to claim power. We are here to learn, to understand why this place was sealed." The figure's eyes glowed brighter. "Understanding is a choice, and choices bring judgment. The tomb does not open by mistake. It opens only when the time calls. And when the door is opened, the weight of the past must be carried." The explorers listened in silence. The chamber seemed to breathe with the figure's words, as though the tomb itself agreed. Mara stepped forward, her voice soft but clear. "If every people who touched this power fell, then maybe they failed a test. If we are here now, perhaps it is not to repeat them, but to prove another way." The figure tilted its head as if studying her. "Perhaps." Yet each believed they were different. Each claimed wisdom. Each sought to protect or control. None endured. Why should humans succeed where all others failed? No one answered at first. The weight of the question pressed on them like a storm. Ryan finally spoke. "Because we are not afraid to walk away. If the tomb holds a danger too great, we will seal it again. That may be the test. The figure's glow pulsed faintly, neither agreement nor denial. The tomb listens. The tomb waits. Your journey has only begun. The light dimmed, and the figure vanished. The chamber fell silent again, but the floor still glowed faintly beneath their feet, as if the images of lost worlds were burned into the stone. The explorers looked at one another. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with the weight of what they had seen. Yet none spoke of turning back. The tomb had called them deeper, and curiosity burned brighter than fear. Another passage opened at the far end of the chamber. Its walls shimmered with a stronger glow, and faint sounds echoed from within, soft hums, like whispers carried on the air. They stepped carefully into the passage. The whispers grew clearer, though no words could be made out. It felt as if unseen voices were watching, judging each step. The air thickened, almost pressing against their chests, but they moved forward, guided by the faint light ahead. At last, they reached another chamber. This one was smaller but stranger. The walls curved inward like the inside of a sphere. Symbols covered every inch, glowing brighter than before. At the center stood a single pedestal. Upon it rested a sphere of golden crystal, glowing with soft light. The explorers approached slowly. The air hummed, and the whispers rose to a chorus. The sphere pulsed like a heart, sending waves of light across the chamber. "This must be part of the seal," Darren said, his voice unsteady. "A key maybe." Ryan raised his hand, stopping him from touching it. "Not yet. We saw what happened to the others. We will not rush." The whispers grew louder, filling their ears, though the words were still unclear. The sphere glowed brighter, as if calling for them. They stood in silence, caught between fear and wonder. Ahead lay more secrets, more trials, more warnings. The tomb was not only a place of death. It was a living record, a keeper of forgotten truths. And now, as the golden sphere pulsed before them, the explorers knew the real test was only beginning. The golden sphere pulsed with steady light, filling the chamber with warmth. The explorers stood around it, their faces caught between awe and fear. None dared to touch it, though each of them felt its pull. It was as if the sphere was calling, whispering in a voice just beyond hearing. Ryan broke the silence. "We do nothing until we understand. This could be a key, or a trap." Darren adjusted his scanner, frowning. "Still nothing. The machine cannot read it. It is like the sphere hides itself." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Or maybe it chooses when to be known." Before they could speak further, the chamber shook. Dust drifted down from the curved ceiling, and the whispers in the air grew louder, almost urgent. The explorers steadied themselves, looking around with alarm. Then a voice came, not from the sphere, but from the walls. Calm, deep, unshaken. "Others have come." The explorers froze. Ryan stepped closer to the wall. "Others? What do you mean?" No answer came. The chamber fell silent again, though the sphere continued to glow. Ryan's face tightened. He knew what the voice meant. Somewhere above, beyond the golden tomb, someone else had arrived. The explorers returned to the surface with haste, leaving markers to guide their path back. When they emerged into the desert air, their fears were confirmed. Ships hung in the sky, their shadows stretching across the dunes. They were not human ships. Their forms were sharp and angular, glowing with pale blue engines. The desert wind carried the sound of their descent as they landed near the crawler. Alien figures stepped onto the sand. Tall and lean, with dark armor and narrow eyes that gleamed, they moved in silence but with clear purpose. Behind them, another vessel touched down, different in shape. From it emerged another group, shorter but broad-shouldered, their skin pale as stone, their voices low and rumbling. Two rival species had come at once. Both had heard of the tomb. Both wanted what lay within. The explorers hid behind the crawler, watching. The first group raised devices that scanned the dunes. One of them spoke in a sharp voice. "The tomb is open. Humans have touched it." The second group rumbled with laughter. "Then the stories are true. Only humans can break the seal. We must find them." Ryan's stomach sank. The secret of the tomb was no longer theirs alone. News had spread faster than they imagined. Now the desert world of Unearthed had become a place of danger. The aliens advanced toward the golden platform, their eyes fixed on the open stairway. Some argued with each other, their voices rising. They wanted control of the tomb, but neither group trusted the other. Lyra whispered, "If they enter, everything changes. The Guardian warned us. The tomb will judge them too, but if they fight here, we may all be trapped." Ryan thought quickly. "We stay hidden. Let them argue. They do not yet know where we are." But hiding was not so simple. The golden platform glowed brighter as the aliens approached, reacting to their presence. The light traced the seams of the door, but then dimmed, refusing to open further. The aliens struck the surface with weapons, but the stone did not break. "The tomb resists us," one snarled. "It wants humans. Only they can open it." The explorers exchanged uneasy looks. The secret was no longer safe. They had become the center of a conflict they could not escape. The aliens continued to argue, their voices carrying across the sands. The taller ones demanded the humans be delivered to them. The shorter, stronger ones refused, claiming the tomb would obey them first. Tension grew with every word. Suddenly a shot rang out, cutting through the air. The two groups turned on each other. Weapons lit the desert, beams of light flashing across the dunes. Sand exploded, and the sound of battle thundered across the land. The explorers crouched low, hearts racing. Ships above circled, their weapons charged but not yet fired. The desert had become a battlefield, and the tomb stood in the center of it. "We cannot let them drag us into this," Mara whispered. "If they see us, they will fight to take us. Not for who we are, but for what we can do." Ryan nodded grimly. "Then we must choose. Either we return to the tomb and hide within, or we face them here. Both paths are dangerous." The ground shook again. The golden door pulsed, as if reacting to the violence outside. The tomb itself seemed restless, like a living thing disturbed by the fighting. Lyra placed her hand on the platform. "The tomb is watching. It knows. If the aliens keep fighting, the tomb will respond. I can feel it." Above them, the battle raged louder. Ships fired beams into the sky, and explosions lit the horizon. The desert that had been silent for centuries was now alive with war. Ryan clenched his fists. The explorers had come seeking knowledge, not conflict. Yet the tomb had pulled them into a choice far larger than themselves. Now they were not only witnesses. They were the key to ending or worsening what had begun. "The Guardian said the tomb judges by action, not words," Ryan said slowly. "Then this is the test. Do we run, or do we act?" His team looked at him, waiting for his decision. Around them, the desert roared with battle, and the golden tomb pulsed with restless light, as if demanding an answer. The choice lay heavy upon them, and the weight of it was greater than any they had faced before. The desert echoed with the sounds of battle. Beams of light cut through the sky, striking the sand with deafening force. The alien factions argued, shot, and maneuvered around the golden tomb. The explorers crouched behind the crawler, their hearts pounding. Each second felt heavier than the last. Ryan scanned the battlefield, trying to see a way forward. "We cannot stop them by force," he said. "We are too few. We have to think." Lyra wiped sweat from her brow. "The tomb will judge everyone here. The aliens are too focused on taking it. They do not understand what it is. If they open the inner chamber without the key, it could destroy all of us." Mara pointed toward the glowing platform. "The Guardian said only humans can open it. Only humans can make the choice. That means the answer lies with us, not them." Darren shook his head. "But if we act, we may become targets. They will try to take the key from us. They may kill us to force the tomb to obey them." Ryan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Then we must act wisely. The tomb is more than a prize. It is a test. If we fail, not just humans, but everyone around will suffer." The team approached the golden platform slowly, hands hovering over the glowing surface. As they moved, the light of the sphere pulsed faster, almost like a heartbeat. It seemed aware that the humans had made their decision. Above them, the aliens paused briefly, sensing something different. The beams of light and energy weapons grew still for a moment, as if the battle itself waited to see what the humans would do. Ryan placed his hand on the glowing sphere. The others followed. Immediately, the chamber filled with a soft hum that spread across the desert. The light expanded, forming a dome over the tomb. Within the dome, the alien factions could no longer move freely. Their ships hovered, caught by the invisible energy. A voice filled the chamber. Calm and deep, it came from the air itself. "Humans," it said. "The choice is yours. The power within this tomb is not for conquest. It is for wisdom. Will you claim it for yourselves, or will you seal it forever?" The explorers exchanged glances. Lyra's eyes were wide. "We know the danger. If we take it, we risk repeating the mistakes of those who came before. But if we seal it, the tomb will remain safe, and the galaxy will not fall." Mara nodded. "It is not about fear. It is about responsibility. We are the last key. The tomb chose us because it trusted us to choose correctly." Darren hesitated, his fingers brushing the glowing lines of the platform. "Sealing it means giving up knowledge, giving up power. But opening it could destroy more than we can imagine." Ryan took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the tomb beneath his hand. "We will seal it. Not because we are afraid, but because wisdom is stronger than power. We will not let greed or curiosity endanger the galaxy." The sphere's light brightened for a moment, then spread across the tomb. Symbols on the walls shifted, forming a pattern that resembled chains of light. The passages began to close, the seams of the golden door sliding back into place. Outside the dome, the alien factions struggled against the invisible force, unable to reach the humans or the tomb. Their shouts of anger and frustration carried across the desert, but the humans were safe under the tomb's protection. Ryan felt the weight lift slightly from his shoulders. "It is done," he said quietly. "We did what we came here to do. The tomb is sealed, and no one will misuse it." The sphere dimmed, its heartbeat slowing until it became steady and calm. The tomb returned to silence, its secrets protected once more. The golden dome disappeared, leaving only the sunlit desert and the quiet hum of wind across the dunes. Lyra stepped back, watching the sealed platform. "The tomb is not ours," she said softly. "It belongs to history, to memory, to the galaxy itself. We were only the guardians for a moment." Mara smiled faintly. "And we passed the test. We proved that humans are capable of restraint, of understanding, of wisdom. That is what the tomb wanted to see." Darren looked around at his team. "We made the right choice. We did not seek glory. We did not try to take power. That is why the tomb trusted us." Ryan nodded, feeling pride and relief. "We came as explorers, but we leave as guardians. This place will remain hidden until it is truly needed again. And perhaps, the galaxy will remember that humans are more than conquerors. We are responsible. We are wise." As the team prepared to leave the desert world, the golden tomb disappeared beneath shifting sands, hidden once more. The alien factions retreated, frustrated and defeated, unaware of the lesson the humans had taught. The explorers walked back to their crawler, the weight of the tomb still heavy in their minds, but lighter in their hearts. They had faced temptation, danger, and judgment, and they had chosen the path of wisdom. Above them, the sun began to set, painting the desert with gold and red light. The tomb remained silent, waiting, remembering, and judging in secret. And the humans had passed the test. The desert of Unearthed returned to silence. The golden tomb, once glowing and alive, had vanished beneath the shifting sands. The explorers stood on the dunes, watching the wind sweep over the hidden platform. The battle, the aliens, and the glowing sphere were all gone. Only the memory remained, heavy in their hearts. Ryan stretched his arms and breathed deeply. The air felt lighter now. The weight of responsibility still pressed on him, but the choice had been made. They had sealed the tomb, not for glory, not for power, but for wisdom. And in doing so, they had proven something the tomb had waited centuries to see. Lyra stepped beside him, her eyes scanning the desert horizon. "We did what the Guardian asked. We showed that humans are different. That we do not always take what is offered, even when it could make us strong." Darren nodded quietly. "Strength is not only in force. It is in restraint. In understanding. In knowing when to act and when to hold back. The tomb tested us, and we passed." Mara smiled faintly, her gaze lingering on the sands where the golden door had disappeared. "The galaxy will remember this, even if no one else ever sees the tomb. We showed that humans are not just explorers. We are guardians of history, protectors of power, keepers of wisdom." They began walking back to their crawler. Each step felt lighter than before, though their minds were heavy with thought. The desert stretched endless before them, pale gold under the setting sun. No sound broke the silence except the wind. As they climbed into the crawler, Ryan looked back at the dunes one last time. "The tomb was waiting for us," he said softly. "It tested every decision, every choice. And it allowed us to leave it untouched. That is its gift. And ours." The crawler rumbled to life, moving slowly across the sand. The explorers spoke little, each lost in thought. The tomb had shown them visions of past civilizations, each one proud, ambitious, and ultimately destroyed. But it had also shown them hope. Humans had been chosen for a reason. They had the strength to resist, the wisdom to understand, and the courage to act rightly. Above them, the sky shifted from red to deep purple, stars appearing one by one. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere, beyond Unearthed, other worlds waited, filled with life, civilizations, and power. The tomb had hidden its secrets for a reason. It had waited for humans to return, for humans to prove themselves worthy of being trusted. Ryan spoke again, his voice calm but firm. We leave this world knowing something few others ever will. Humanity has a role to play. Not as conquerors. Not as rulers. But as those who carry responsibility, who make choices that protect the future. Lyra added, the aliens came seeking power, thinking they could take it by force. They will leave defeated, not because we fought them, but because we did not need to. Wisdom is stronger than weapons. The crawler moved across the dunes, leaving no trace of their presence. The golden tomb had disappeared beneath the sands, hidden until another time. The explorers had become part of its story, the last to touch it, the first to prove its trust. As night fell, the explorers camped under the stars. The desert was quiet, the wind carrying no whisper of the tomb. Yet each of them felt the presence of the guardian, of the tomb itself, as if it still remembered every choice, every heartbeat, every thought. Mara spoke softly, perhaps this is why humans survived, why we were chosen. We understand that power without wisdom destroys. We understand responsibility. We understand that some things are not meant to be claimed, only protected. Ryan looked at the sky, filled with stars that had seen centuries of civilizations rise and fall. We will continue to explore, to learn, and to protect. The tomb tested us, but the galaxy will still need us. Other worlds will call, other challenges will come. And we will meet them, not with greed, but with wisdom. The explorers settled for the night, the desert calm around them. The golden tomb lay hidden, but its lesson remained. Humanity had proven itself worthy, not through power or ambition, but through choice, restraint, and understanding. The galaxy would never know the tomb, but it would feel the result of human wisdom. Above, stars twinkled like ancient eyes watching, and the explorers slept, knowing that the golden tomb, the guardian, and the test of ages had left a mark on them that would last forever. And in that quiet desert under the endless sky, a new dawn for humanity had begun.